Today, we'll be exploring our coffee shop sales dashboard, designed to give you clear insights into sales. Here's a quick overview of the dashboard. At the top, we've got the key performance metrics that show the total number of transactions, total quantity sold, overall revenue, and total profit. First, to the left, you'll see a category transactions showcasing sales distribution across different beverage and food items. Next, we have the transaction counts for each weekday, helping identify the busiest days. Next, the pie chart shows us a year-over-year comparison of revenue percentages for different years. Next, we have the revenue by category bar chart, giving us a look at how much each category has contributed to the overall earnings. Further down, the monthly transactions chart shows the steady performance throughout the year. On the right side, you'll see a breakdown of the revenue percentage by city, highlighting the top-performing locations. And finally, the column chart compares monthly revenue with profit, giving a clear view of how profit aligns with income. That's a quick overview of the coffee shop sales dashboard. Now let's dive into the step-by-step process of creating this dashboard. Let's start by preparing the data. Select the data range, go to the Home ribbon, and click on Format as Table. Select any one table design. Rename the worksheet as Data. Remove grid lines for a cleaner view by deselecting the Grid Lines option under the View tab. Select Freeze Panes and choose Freeze Top Row. Adjust column widths for readability. Next, we will add 3 calculated columns for year, month, and weekday. For year, we will use the formula equals year open parenthesis, select a data cell close parenthesis. For month, we will use the formula equals text, select a data cell, MMM. This represents the first 3 letters of the month name. For weekday, we will use the formula equals text, select a data cell, DDD. This represents the first 3 letters of the weekday name. Apply a distinct highlight color to the calculated columns for year, month, and weekday to enhance clarity. Let's build a pivot table to analyze the data. Select the data range, go to the Insert tab, and click on Pivot Table, and choose to place the pivot table in a new worksheet. Rename the worksheet as Pivot. Remove grid lines for a cleaner view. Set the zoom to 80% for better visibility. Next, we will create pivot tables. First, create a table for quantity by category using a pivot table. In the Pivot Table Fields pane, drag product category to the rows area. Drag quantity sold to the values area. Rename the table header to quantity by category. Format, adjust the font color and size for better readability. Adjust column widths to ensure data is properly visible. Next, create a pivot table for revenue by category. Copy the first pivot table and paste it. Rename the table header to Revenue by Category. In the Pivot Table Fields pane, keep product category in the rows area. Drag revenue to the values area. Format the values column. Apply the $ for currency formatting. Decrease decimal places for a cleaner look. Adjust column widths to ensure data is properly visible. Next, create a pivot table for revenue by year. Copy the pivot table and paste it. Rename the table header to Revenue by Year. In the Pivot Table Fields pane, drag year in the rows area. Drag revenue to the values area. Adjust column widths to ensure data is properly visible. Next, create a pivot table for revenue by month. Copy the pivot table and paste it. Rename the table header to Revenue by Month. In the Pivot Table Fields pane, drag month in the rows area. Drag revenue and profit to the values area. Adjust column widths to ensure data is properly visible. Next, create a pivot table for revenue by city. Copy the pivot table and paste it. Rename the table header to Revenue by City. In the Pivot Table Fields pane, keep revenue to the values area. Drag city in the rows area. Adjust column widths to ensure data is properly visible. Next, create a pivot table for transaction by weekday. Copy the pivot table and paste it. Rename the table header to Transaction by Weekday. In the Pivot Table Fields pane, drag weekday to the rows area. Drag transaction ID to the values area. Format the values column. Change the format to general. Next, create a pivot table for transaction by year and month. Copy the pivot table and paste it. Rename the table header to Transaction by Year and Month. In the Pivot Table Fields pane, keep Transaction ID in the Values area. Drag Month to the Rows area. Drag Year to the Columns area. Adjust column widths to ensure data is properly visible. Next, create a pivot table for profit margin by product. Copy the pivot table and paste it. Rename the table header to Profit Margin by Product. In the Pivot Table Fields pane, drag Product Category to the Rows area. Drag Profit to the Values area. Select the Values column and apply the comma format for better readability. Adjust column widths to ensure data is properly visible. Go to Pivot Table Options and uncheck Autofit for all pivot tables. Next, create a table for key metrics. Enter row labels, type, transaction, quantity, revenue, and profit. Link the total values. Use formulas to link the total values from the grand totals of the previous pivot tables. Format revenue and profit. Apply the $ for currency formatting. Decrease decimal places for a cleaner look. Add borders to structure the table view. Now, with all pivot tables ready, let's move on to designing the dashboard layout. Add a new sheet and rename it to Dashboard. Move the Dashboard tab to the left for easy access. Right-click on the tab and assign a color to differentiate it. Reduce the zoom level to 80% for better visibility. Go to the View tab and remove the grid lines. Adding a background shape in the dashboard. Go to the Insert tab. Under Illustrations, select Shapes and choose a rectangle for the background. Format the shape. Adjust the size to fit the background properly. To set a white background, set an outline for a clean border. Align the shapes properly to fit the layout. Repeat the process for additional shapes. Adjust the size and set the fill color. Apply a shadow effect for better visibility. Align the shapes properly to fit the layout. Copy the formatted shape and paste it into other sections. Adjust the size to fit the background properly. Align the shapes properly to fit the layout. Repeat the process for additional shapes. Let's add the dashboard icon and then the title. And type Coffee Shop Sales Dashboard. Format the text box. Font color white. Font Calibri bold size 36. No shape fill and no shape outline. Position the title appropriately on the dashboard. Next, let's add icons for full screen and refresh functionality. Align them properly for a clean layout. Adding key metrics elements. First, we'll add icons for key metrics. Position it appropriately on the dashboard. Adding titles for key metrics. Insert a text box and type the first key metric title, transaction. Format the text box. Remove shape, fill, and outline for a clean look. Format the text box. Font white, Calibri, bold, size 13. Adding values for key metrics. Another text box for the values. Using equals formula. Link the text box to the appropriate pivot table values. Format the values. Repeat the process. Add the next key metric, total quantity sold. Using equals formula. Link the text box to the appropriate pivot table values. Then add total revenue. Using equals formula. Link the text box to the appropriate pivot table values. Finally, add total profit. Using equals formula. Link the text box to the appropriate pivot table values. Ensure all elements are properly aligned and formatted consistently for a professional look. Next, inserting a chart for category transaction. Go to the pivot table and select the profit margin by product pivot table. Click Insert. Choose Clustered Bar Chart and click OK. Cut and paste the chart into the dashboard. Hide all field buttons on the chart. Resize the chart to fit the layout properly. Add a title, category transaction, and format it for clarity and consistency. Remove shape fill and outline for a clean look. Set the axis color to white. Adjust gap width to 60% for better visualization. Add data labels and set their color to white. Next, inserting a chart for weekday transaction count. Select the transaction by weekday pivot table. Click Insert. Choose Line with Markers Chart. Cut and paste the chart into the dashboard. Hide all field buttons on the chart. Resize the chart to fit the layout properly. Remove shape fill and outline for a clean look. Add data labels for better readability. Change the chart type if needed for better visualization. Remove shape fill. Add a title, Weekday Transaction Count, to fit the layout properly. Next, inserting a chart for yearly revenue percentage. Select the Revenue by Year pivot table. Click Insert. Choose Donut Chart. Cut and paste the chart into the dashboard. Hide all field buttons on the chart. Set the legend position to the bottom of the chart. Resize the chart to fit the layout properly. Change the chart type if needed for better visualization. Align the chart for a structured layout. Apply desired colors for each section. Remove shape fill and outline for a clean look. And format it for clarity. Add a title, Yearly Revenue Percentage. Next, inserting a chart for Revenue by Category. Select the Revenue by Category pivot table. Click Insert. Choose Clustered Bar Chart. Cut and paste the chart into the dashboard. Hide all field buttons on the chart. Resize the chart to fit the layout properly. Add data labels for better readability. Set axis and data labels color to white. Remove shape fill and outline for a clean look. Set gap width to 50% for better spacing. Add a title, Revenue by Category, and format it for clarity. Set the data label position to the inside base of the bars. Apply the desired color for better visualization. Next, inserting a chart for monthly transaction. Select the transaction by year and month pivot table. Click Insert, choose Clustered Column Chart. Cut and paste the chart into the dashboard. Hide all field buttons on the chart. Set the axis and legend colors to white. Remove shape fill and outline for a clean look. Add a title, Monthly Transaction, and format it for clarity. Resize the chart to fit the layout properly. Apply desired color for each column section for better visualization. Next, inserting a chart for Revenue Percentage by City. Select the Revenue by City pivot table. Click Insert. Choose Pie Chart. Cut and paste the chart into the dashboard. Hide all field buttons on the chart. Resize the chart to fit the layout properly. Remove shape fill and outline for a clean look. Change the chart type if needed for better visualization. Remove shape fill and outline for a clean look. Set the legend color to white. Add a title, Revenue Percentage by City, and format it for clarity. Next, inserting a chart for monthly profit and revenue. Select the Revenue by Month pivot table. Choose Stacked Column Chart. Cut and paste the chart into the dashboard. Hide all field buttons on the chart. Resize the chart to fit the layout properly. Set the legend position to the bottom of the chart. Add data labels, then go to the pivot table and change the values format to General. Set gap width to 50% for better spacing. Apply the desired colors for revenue and profit. Remove shape fill and outline for a clean look. Set the axis, legend, data, and labels colors to white. Add a title, monthly profit and revenue, and format it for clarity. Next, adding slicers. Go back to the pivot table. Navigate to the Insert tab. Click on Slicer and select the fields: year, month, and city. Cut and paste the slicers into the dashboard. Formatting the slicers. Select the slicer, go to the Slicer Tools tab, and adjust the formatting. Customize the design to match the dashboard theme. Format the whole slicer, header, and items. Selected with data. Unselected with data. Use consistent fonts, borders, and colors that align with the chart color scheme. Apply borders for a structured and clean look. Adjusting the slicer layout. Resize and position the slicers neatly within the dashboard. Right-click the slicer and choose Report Connections to ensure all relevant fields are linked. Repeat the process for all slicers. Check Hide Items with No Data for a cleaner display. Let's assign Zoom Macro for Dashboard Screen Icon. Then assign Macro Data Refresh Icon. Adjust the view by clicking the Zoom buttons for a full screen. Refresh icon when clicked, it will refresh all the data. Click again for Zoomed Out. Now, our slicer setup and zoom functionality are complete. That completes the coffee shop sales dashboard.